Riley knew Zia would oppose her leaving, but her mother's life was at stake. The nurses mentioned that Zia was still due to report for work in 8 hours. Riley could not wait. So Riley decided to sign a discharge waiver against medical advice. After leaving the hospital, Riley went to her mother's house to freshen up and change. Later, she arrived at the Halliport General Hospital. "I'm in the lobby. Where are you?" Riley asked Brian over the phone. "In the ICU floor," Brian replied coldly. "Hurry." In the 4 years of her marriage to Brian, Riley had earned a lot while leading their company's design team. However, she had also spent lavishly on her mother. Renee Allen was a single mother who had made many sacrifices to raise Riley. When Riley began earning decent money, she bought her mother a house, car, jewelry, and other luxuries. Riley also had her own investments. Asset-wise, she could cover the hospital bills herself, but she lacked liquid funds, making Brian paying the bill the quickest solution. When Riley arrived at the ICU, she saw Brian and his mother standing in the waiting area. She shook her head and walked toward them. Thankfully, no one was nearby. Brian immediately handed her the divorce papers. "Sign this, and I'll pay your mother's hospital bill." Riley felt Brian's curious gaze on her while his mother, Beatrice, was evidently glaring. Riley took the document, found a seat, and read the terms. She was shocked by his decision. He was taking back all her shares. Riley's brows met. She clarified, "You are taking back my shares?" "I funded the company," Brian explained. "I gave you the shares so I can take them back. As part of the divorce settlement, you'll receive $5 million, and I'll cover your mother's hospital bill up to the current date." Riley took a deep breath. Sure, she had no monetary investment in the company, but she had put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. She reacted, "That may be true, but you can't deny how I contributed to the company's success." "Says who? You are a mere jewelry designer. My son can readily hire another one. You only got the director position because you are Brian's wife," Beatrice Martin said in a harsh tone. Beatrice's dislike for Riley stemmed from Brian's investment choices. She had always wanted him to invest in movies and real estate, not jewelry. However, Riley had always dreamed of becoming a jewelry designer, so Brian created the jewelry company for her. Since Riley and her mother-in-law were not necessarily on good terms, it no longer surprised her that the older Mrs. Martin sided with Brian's mistress. Riley read through the other terms in the contract. When she did, she grimaced and said, "You want me to give up all claims to my previous designs, despite them being my designs." "The company's designs, Riley. As an employee, all your work belongs to the company," Brian corrected. "And aside from that, you'll need to be dismissed, Riley." "We both know it will never work in our situation," he described. "The next part of the agreement will include a $100,000 compensation for your dismissal." "Think about it, Riley. We won't have anything to do with each other after this," Brian concluded. "I'll move on with my life and so should you." "It still hurts," Riley mused. No matter how much Riley thought about it, the pain lingered in her heart. However, she acknowledged Brian was right. Even though she felt she wasn't paid enough for her jewelry designs, she wanted this. This was an opportunity to have no more connections with Brian and his family. Riley took a deep breath. She shut her eyes and focused on her anger. Brian had caused her emotional stress and pushed her to the floor for his mistress. He had caused her miscarriage. When Riley opened her eyes, a tear fell down her face. Looking straight at Brian's eyes, she said with conviction, "I regret everything. I regret loving you and marrying you. You are right. I don't want anything to do with you. I hate you. It's better this way." Riley noticed the shock on Brian's face. However, she did not give him a chance to react. She signed her name and the other copies of the agreement. Brian later awkwardly gave her the check, which Riley stuffed in her purse. She rose from her seat and demanded, "Now pay the hospital fees, Brian. From this day onwards, we are strangers." After leaving Brian and Beatrice, Riley went straight to the ICU. Her chest was congesting, still pained from seeing her husband. However, the second she saw her mother, she felt a sense of relief. She cried. Indeed, her mother was awake, and she was no longer connected to the ventilator. Renee had her hands raised, reaching out to Riley. Renee attempted to speak, but no words came out. Stay still, Mom. Stay still. Riley said before embracing her mother. I'm here. I'm here. I'm not leaving you. You are going to get better soon. We will be together again. Behind Riley, the doctor explained. Since we had just removed her from the ventilator, it will take a few days for her voice to come back. We had already explained to her what happened. So far, she is responsive, nodding, and crying. So she understands her situation. She simply needs more time to recover her strength, the doctor added. Riley remained to hold her mother. At that point, she thought it was okay. She lost her husband and her baby, but she had her mother back. She supposed it was heaven's way of giving her something she had lost, and her mother was more than enough. While tears continued to flow down her cheeks, Riley said, "Thank you. Thank you for my mother's recovery." A few hours later. Mrs. Martin. Please stop calling me that. Brian and I have already divorced, Riley explained to Dr. Wilson. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, the doctor responded. From outside the ICU rooms, Dr. Wilson discussed Renee's treatment plan. We will start your mother with a soft diet, water and gel-based food, but most of her nutrition will still be delivered through 4. It's the rehabilitation that I am very concerned about. While we offer basic rehabilitation, our hospital is not fully equipped. We highly recommend moving your mother's care to the King's Medical Center. They have the best doctors and high-end facilities. With the doctor's suggestion, Riley replied, I think that's a good idea too. When the doctor left, Riley received a call from Zia. She said, Riley, how could you do this to me? Do you not realize I could get fired for leaving the hospital? Zia, you won't get fired. I signed a waiver, Riley responded. I texted you all the details. My mom is awake. She needs me. No, that's not it. The boss will fire me. You were my responsibility, Zia said before making a fake cry over the phone. Boss? Riley inquired. You mean Adrian King? Don't be silly, Zia. Why would he? He. On the other line, Riley could hear a man's voice talking to Zia, and she assumed it was Adrian. When Zia came back on the phone, she said, Mr. King said he came back to the hospital to collect a favor you promised. A favor. Riley thought. Then she remembered how they had this discussion last night. Oh, I see. Riley gulped. I'm not running away. I just needed to see my mom. Right now she is all that I have left, Zia. Before Riley knew it, Adrian was talking to her on the phone. His voice was deep as he said, Meet me at the Plaza Hotel in half an hour. It is important. Half an hour later, Riley was sitting across the table from Adrian King. As usual, Adrian looked like a force to reckon with despite sitting in a wheelchair. He was incredibly handsome. His face was very symmetrical with sharp jawlines, a long and pointed nose and piercing gray eyes. However, despite being blessed with good looks, he had such an authoritative aura. His gaze was intense and unwavering, reflecting the strength of his character. He heard everything that had happened to her that day. The divorce signing, her mother waking up, and potentially moving her to another hospital. He answered, I will let my assistant arrange your mother's move to the King's Medical Center as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be soon. My mother won't be ready for rehabilitation in a few days, Riley said. But I am very thankful for your help. I will surely repay you for your kindness. I only need one favor from you, Adrian said. He looked impassive at that moment, giving no hint of his inner thoughts. Yes, what is it? Anything, Riley willingly offered. Adrian stared into Riley's eyes and declared, After your divorce is finalized, marry me. Riley's mouth fell on the floor, and her eyes rounded in shock. What?